Alright, let's dive into something that's been making headlines in Jharkhand, India, and honestly, it's a story that's way more complex than it seems at first glance. So, the Jharkhand government is gearing up for another round of talks, the sixth one, to be precise, with students who've been protesting alleged irregularities in job exams. Now, on the surface, this might sound like just another political back and forth, but personally, I think this is a microcosm of a much larger issue plaguing public service systems across India. What makes this really interesting is the sheer persistence of these students. They're not just asking for a quick fix. They're demanding comprehensive reform in the Jharkhand Public Service Commission, JPSC, and the Jharkhand Staff Selection Commission, JSSC. That's not a small ask, and it speaks volumes about the level of distrust in these institutions. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. The students are insisting on an independent probe, either by the CBI or a panel of retired high court judges from outside the state. In my opinion, this demand is a direct reflection of how deeply rooted the skepticism is. When people lose faith in the very bodies meant to ensure fairness, it's a red flag for the entire system. What many people don't realize is that this isn't just about one exam or one state. It's about the broader issue of transparency and accountability in public service recruitment across the country. If you take a step back and think about it, this protest is essentially a call for systemic change, not just a resolution to a local dispute. Now, let's talk about the government's response. They've held 5 rounds of talks already, and yet the deadlock remains. One thing that immediately stands out is the government's approach. They're clearly trying to engage, but the fact that the protests are still ongoing suggests that the students aren't convinced. This raises a deeper question. How effective are these dialogues if they're not leading to tangible outcomes? A detail I find fascinating is that 19 people have been arrested in connection with the alleged irregularities, and the former chairperson of the panel has been questioned multiple times. But here's the thing, arrests and questioning are just the tip of the iceberg. What this really suggests is that there's a much larger network of corruption or mismanagement that needs to be addressed. From my perspective, the government's decision to hold a 6th round of talks feels like a last-ditch effort to placate the protesters before making a final decision. But here's the catch. The students have made it clear that their stir will continue until all their demands are met. This isn't just a negotiation. It's a test of wills. What this really boils down to is whether the government is willing to overhaul a system that's been in place for years, or if they'll just patch things up temporarily. Personally, I think the latter would be a missed opportunity. If the government truly wants to regain public trust, they need to go beyond surface-level fixes and address the root causes of the issue. What makes this story even more compelling is the role of student unions and leaders like Devendra Nath Madhav, who's been on a hunger strike for 7 days. These aren't just random protests. They're organized, determined, and backed by a clear set of demands. This level of coordination tells me that the youth in Jharkhand are not just frustrated, they're mobilized. And that's a powerful force, especially in a democracy. If you think about it, this is exactly how systemic change often begins, with young people refusing to accept the status quo and demanding better. So, where does this leave us? Well, the 6th round of talks is scheduled for Sunday at 12 p.m., and all eyes are on what the government will propose. But here's my closing thought. This isn't just Jharkhand's problem. It's a mirror to the challenges faced by countless job aspirants across India who are navigating a system that often feels rigged against them. The outcome of these talks could set a precedent for how similar issues are handled in the future. Will it be a band-aid solution, or will it mark the beginning of real reform? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, these students aren't backing down, and neither should we in demanding accountability. What do you think? Is this just a local issue, or does it resonate with broader concerns you've seen in your own country? Let me know in the comments below.